Folks, how are you? It's Kurt. Mañana no más. Happy Monday. Let's get cracking. Let's make something happen today. Now, some of you got the day off. It's Martin Luther King Day. Maybe you're like, it's Martin Luther King Day. I have a dream. I'm going to stay in bed. That's fine. That's fine. That's where you're at. It's totally fine. Other folks are like, hey, it's Inauguration Day. It's a new change. It's a new this. It's a new that. I just put out an email on our listing, goes out to the people that follow Mañana no más. And I was like, no matter what your position is on who is taking the office, it's a change, and we can celebrate the change. We can celebrate the challenges that come with change. Change is constant. And if you're an entrepreneur, you want to embrace change, and you always want to keep moving forward. But here's the deal. I got a lot of conflicting things in my head today, this Monday, Inauguration Day, as we exchange leadership of our country and as individuals think about, okay, how do we move forward? What are some things that we do? Hang on one moment here. Hey, Google, stop. Boom. All right, there we go. Went to commercial like it does when I got a little music in the background trying to keep my head straight. So I'm at church this weekend. And I'm going to give you a fair warning right now. If you're not a person of faith, if hearing things about faith incenses you or makes you angry or any of those things, I'm not here to make you angry. I'm just sharing some things that I believe, that things that have made me think and go, aha, okay? So fair warning, I'm going to cover a piece of scripture here today. So if it's not for you, feel free to move on. Feel free to move on. I'm not trying to Bible bang on people. It's just these are where my thoughts come from. And I want to share how those thoughts kind of guide me in what I do. So I've had a couple of sayings for a long time. One is we have to we have to find the opportunities within the obstacles. If you follow me for any length of time, you must have heard that somewhere along the line. I say it a lot. We have to embrace the opportunities that are in the obstacles. We need to find that silver lining on that cloud, right? We've got to figure that out. During COVID, that was one of my main sayings. Like almost every day I went live and said, how are we going to find the opportunities within the obstacles today? How are we going to do this? Okay. Another thing I say a lot is, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. In the end, it's always got a way of working out. In the end, it always has a way of working out. And it does. People will argue. They'll say, no, it doesn't this. No, it doesn't that. Even when I was supposed to ride, a professional super bike at Pikes Peak International Raceway, and I fell the day that I was supposed to go to the track and ride that bike, and I broke my ankle, and I went to the hospital and got surgery. People are going to say, well, how did that work out? That didn't work out. It did work out because that motorcycle suffered a broken frame like the next event or two events down the road that I wasn't riding would have sustained major injuries on that motorcycle. So, when you say, hey, it doesn't always work out, it does. It does always work out. It might not work out the way you wanted to, or the way that you envisioned it, or the way that you dreamed it, but it does work out. It always works out. If you're here today, that is proof that so far, every day, it's worked out. You're here. Hey, run through. Great to see you. Great to see you here. And thanks for commenting on the live, right? And he says, hi, sir, after a long time. Well, yeah, I've been going live at least once a week on Thursdays. We've scheduled lives every Thursday at 10 o'clock Central. But I still get on and do these intermittent things, hit or miss. So it's good to see you back. Thanks for coming. So this piece of scripture is one that speaks to me because it says, so it's in Matthew, right? So Matthew chapter 10, verse 26 to 33. And there's a lot going on here. So Jesus is sending the 12 out, right? When they had to go out and spread the word. And he says, so do not be afraid of them. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. What did we wake up to today? As Americans, we woke up today and it's like, Tony Fauci's got a pardon. The J6 committee, they got pardons. You shot the lady in the Capitol. Yep, you got a pardon. You didn't commit any crimes? You didn't commit any crimes? You know what? I'm going to give you a pardon anyway. Like that is crazy talk. So as normal people, as people that are, integrated in society, we have to figure out what that looks like. And some people are really stuck in the mud with their wheels spinning. And if you've ever driven off-road, if you've ever gone, jeeping or any of those things, you know what I'm talking about, right? If you ever driven in the snow and you into a snowbank and you put it in, hit the gas and the back tires just spin, right? The tires are spinning, but you're going nowhere. This is a distraction. We have to get our minds, as normal, regular people, we have to get our minds out of these distractions and we have to find a way to go past this. All right. So it says here, nothing is hidden that won't be revealed. I will make everything known, right? It says, what I tell you in the dark, speak in the daylight. What is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the roofs. So he's saying the wisdom that you get, that solid wisdom that you get, that you learn, that you study on, share it with people. All right. And I mean, look, I host the WordPress meetup second Tuesday of every month in Hutchinson, Kansas, right? I get a little bit of wisdom about WordPress. I try to push it forward. I try to push it out to the people. And that's whatever your call is. I'm not saying you have to be rooted in scripture and these beliefs, but these are words of wisdom that I thought was good to share. There's a lot in this one section here, right? It says, do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. That is dark. That's dark. But it goes to a certain point. Like sometimes we come up against obstacles and we cower. We find ourselves not having a lot of energy to combat whatever it is we're supposed to combat. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves, what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen? And in many cases, what's going to happen is nowhere near the worst thing that could happen. So wanted to put that up there, right? And that says, are not two sparrows sold for a penny, yet none of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. All of us, everybody on the planet is loved. Some people have a hard time recognizing it. Some people don't acknowledge it. Even people that you might look at in a judgmental way and go, there's no way anybody could love that person. That person is loved, right? Everybody has value. And the hard part is that we as people fail to recognize the real, stasis of somebody else. And so when someone is barking at you or, a Karen from the internet is, ruining your day, it's really difficult, but we need to think like, what happened to this person? What made them like this? What is their day like that this is their reaction to something small? And there is a lot of mental health, anxiety, pill-induced phobia out there in our space right now. And I think if we extend folks just a little bit of grace, like I'm saying, draw the line and be firm, but extend grace at the same time. It's a really hard concept to understand. I discuss it somewhat in my book, the Action Leadership from the Edge book, but giving people a little bit of understanding, a little bit of grace that, hey, and by the understanding and grace, I mean the acknowledgement. I have no idea what happened to you that made you like, but this isn't rational. There are interactions that we have with people and we go, that's not rational. Think back to COVID, 6 feet safe, wear a mask. Masks don't work. Masks do work. Well, you should wear 2 masks. Think of all the irrational things they said to us at that moment and how many people bought into it. Think about that. And then you can go, oh, people do have allegiance. I don't want to say nonsense, but people do have allegiance to ideas that are not consistent. And so you want to extend folks a little bit of grace. Be firm in your own beliefs and understandings, right? But extend people a little bit of grace because you really don't know what someone's been through, what their day is like, or their last verbal transaction with somebody. All right. So are not two sparrows. Yes. Everyone has value. Everyone is loved. Everybody has value. Okay. And then it says, do not be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows, right? Whoever acknowledges me before men, I will acknowledge him before my Father in heaven. But whoever disowns me before men, I will disown him before my Father in heaven. That's a little dark too, but it's not really dark. Pastor had a really good way of saying it this week. He said, God's this awesome being that gives you what you ask for. If you want a relationship with him, you get a relationship with him. He's there. If you say, no, I don't want a relationship with you, he's okay. I'm going to give that to you. You don't want a relationship with me? You can have that. All right. So a couple of the things that came up, and I work with the college age kids at church. So I'm around a lot of young people. I love the energy of young people. There's just something magical about youth. There's something magical about people coming in and just being like vibrant and vulnerable and transparent. There's something magical about that. So I'm at Challenge last night with the leaders group, and it takes me back to kind of like the main thought that I was having when I started this live. And it's like, some people are stuck in the mud with their wheels spinning. How do we move forward? How do we get forward? And there's this verse here, and I'm thinking, we got to find the opportunities within the obstacles. We got to find that silver lining on the cloud. We've got to step forward. We've got to stay clear from distractions. It's okay to know what's going on, but don't be overly concerned about it. Like, as much as I feel that the COVID crisis was mismanaged, I can't sit here and be upset all day because President Biden gave Fauci a pardon for no crimes committed. That's crazy talk, right? So I need to find a way to move forward. Got to find a way to keep going forward. And a couple of things had come up last night. And as we were discussing these words that I shared with you from scripture, as we were discussing these words, a couple of the young folks were like, I have a really hard time with control. I have a really hard time if I don't know the outcome of something. I have a really hard time taking those first steps or being courageous and moving forward when I don't know what the outcome is going to be. And I think that speaks volumes, because they were using terms like anxiety, right? This creates anxiety. Mañana No Mas did a whole series on anxiety during the holiday season, right? We did posts, we did lives, we talked about anxiety, we talked about ways to get past anxiety. And there's so many things here in the word, in the meaning between the words, and in the communication afterwards as a group that really come to light. And here's the thing. Sometimes you have to give up ownership of the outcome. If you know that you are taking a step and you're moving in a direction and you know that you're going in the right direction, you don't have to know what the outcome is going to be. I know some business people are going to hear this and they're going to go, no, he's totally wrong. I have SMART goals. Yes, we create goals. We create plans. But those are like, hey, if everything goes right, we're going to end up over here. Okay. But we don't necessarily know that that's going to be the outcome. But we take the first step and we get moving. And somewhere along the line, I went from a person that was anxious. I went from a person that, what's going to be the outcome? How do these bills get paid? What's going to happen next? Like, I went from one of these, I'm not going to say overly anxious. Like, I wasn't panic riddled or anything like that. But I mean, like, you would have these thoughts. How are we going to keep moving forward? How are we going to keep getting to the next thing? And I want to encourage you to try and switch that little thing in our brain, right? If we are a 0 and 1 creation, right? If we're like binary in our thoughts, good thought, bad thought, right? Fear, trepidation, celebration. Like, if we are like this, how difficult would it be to change your thinking and be excited about the ride? Enjoy the journey. the excitement of the unknown. I know that the unknown can be scary for some folks. So here we are. We've got a new year. We've got a new president. We've got policies rolling out faster than we can possibly read them. We've got all kinds of different conversations coming at us at one time. On one hand, we're hearing the economy is strong. On the other hand, we're looking at 7.6% on mortgage rates. Folks, we are living in a world that doesn't make any sense. And so if we're not able to make sense of all of this, how do we make sense of our own path, of our own going? Here's what I say to you. Take a very clear snapshot of where you're at. Very clear snapshot. This is where I'm at. These are my skill sets. This is my financial standings. This is what I can do. These are the tools at my disposal, right? Take an honest snapshot where you're at. And then try and figure out a SMART goal. Try and figure out hey, where do I want to be? Where do I want to be in July? Where do I want to be in 2026? Just try to figure it out. Like what's reasonable? Where could I be? If this is where I'm at, if this is my snapshot, where could I be 6 months to a year from now? And then I want you to try and drill that down just into small steps and take the first step, not knowing what the outcome is going to be. Just take the first step. Because here's what I've learned. And people, to a certain extent, people think I'm a little crazy on this. Take that first step. Just take the first step. There is such a blessing in momentum. When you take that first step and you get that dopamine hit of, I did it. I did it. I took the first step. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I took the first step and here I am. What happens is all of these other distractions and all of these things that weigh on us mentally that tell us that it's mayhem and it's chaos and we don't know what's going to happen and all of those things that become things that can feed anxiety. There's a difference between stressors and anxiety. Anxiety to me is something that's generated internally. So if we take in all of these stressors and we allow it to become anxiety, we can freeze. We can be that car stuck in the mud with its wheels spinning. But we got to figure out how are we going to take the next step. Here's the deal. If you are a startup entrepreneur, it really doesn't matter who's in office. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what Congress does. Doesn't matter what the Senate does. None of those things are so far above, beyond. Well, I'm smacking my own windows. Those things are so far beyond what we are capable of having influence on. Those things are a mile away. So do this. Look at your own snapshot. Look at your own space. Look at your own skills, your own tools, and go, here's where I'm at. This is true. This is where I'm at. This is it. This is my snapshot. And then where do I want to be? What's break it into steps, right? So what are the actionable steps to get to that SMART goal? And just take the first step. Now, after you take that first step, you know what, that second step and that big plan that you had, that second step might change in appearance. It might change in process. It might morph a little bit. I just released another iteration of the mañananomas.com website. I'm in the web space. I make websites for other people. And so it sounds a little weird when I say, I just released another version of the Mañana No Mas website. People must think, Kurt's a loon. Why is he always changing the Mañana No Mas website? Why is he always moving things around? Sometimes when I'm on that path to my goal, the stepping stones, the milestones along the way, sometimes they change place. Sometimes the target can transition a little bit, but you have to make adjustments. You have to change that rudder and try to keep your boat focused on the island that's way off on the horizon, right? It's important that we're flexible, but that we're taking action. And so I'm just jumping out today, hopefully not sounding like a church sermon. I take my faith very seriously, but I try not to beat on people, strangers, about my thoughts and my beliefs like that. But it's uncanny how I can be doing a study and it aligns so perfectly with where we are at. Manana No Mas just moved from California to Kansas. We got to Kansas. I'm thinking, thank goodness I've got national accounts because I'm not going to sell anything in Kansas. Turns out I moved into a booming town. Hutchinson, Kansas is an amazing place. It's got over 40,000 residents. I've met like 100 business owners in the year that we've lived here so far. We've got 2 or 3 new accounts that we're bringing on to the Manana No Mas hosting ecosystem. And we developed packages for the community. And this was not on my radar a year ago. I wasn't thinking I was going to be this startup web host provider for my community. That wasn't even on the radar a year ago. But now, looking at the needs of the community, networking with the community, going to the entrepreneur meetups and the events and the Chamber of Commerce, I was like, hey, a lot of y'all have websites that don't work. Would it even be a viable service to create like some templated startup websites with the tools that these companies need, like an appointment setter or a CRM tool or e-learning for somebody? Like, we can set that up in a heartbeat at Manana No Mas because those have been our strengths. Those have been things that we've done on the enterprise level for years. So what if we downgrade our offer and we just do some templated sites, make it easy for people to sign up in a startup process, make it affordable, and at least get them in the game? And if a year or 2 down the road, you're like, hey, I think I'm outgrowing this templated site. I'd really like to have a custom website or whatever. Hey, we're here. We're here to help with that. We're here to help with that. And see, that's a working example of don't let your wheels get stuck in the mud spinning. Find your traction. Put some sand under the wheels, right? Put some sand under the wheels if you're in the snow. Those plastic running boards that you see, the overlander people get, put those plastic running boards under the tires. Get some traction, get moving, get some momentum going. Run Through says, very true, sir. Still, I didn't start my business, but anxiety is high. The best thing we can do is just start. Don't worry about being perfect. Don't worry about presentation so much. Don't worry. Here's the thing. Do you have a good heart? Do you want to add value to other people? Do you have a viable service that you can offer to people or a good that you can offer to people? Put up a minimal viable product. Don't overinvest. Don't go crazy into debt to do things. Just make a minimal viable product that you can offer to people and sample it and see if people are interested. Very often I say to people, they'll say, oh, my website's not ready yet. And then I look at their website. Chances are it's a pretty impressive thing. And I know that you're going to think that this is doublespeak or crazy. In the Lifter LMS world, because I help a lot of people with e-learning, people in that space tend to be perfectionists. It's one or the other. Either they're machines and they pump out content like crazy and have properties everywhere, or they're working on a specific project and it's their heart and soul and it's their passion and they want it to be perfect. And I'll tell you, time and time again, that desire to be perfect is the wheel spinning in the mud. You could have launched an MVP 18, 24 months ago. You could have started generating revenue, growing a community, and then expanding the website and its capabilities to meet what you are picturing for the perfect launch. But here's the weird part. If you build the perfect launch with all the bells and whistles and the shiny objects, and there's no community or no people in that website, a lot of times that website never gets adopted. For some reason, people just look at it and go, there's a lot of junk in here, but nobody's here. There's no energy. If you went the minimal viable product route and you built a small audience and that audience got vibrant, right? And there was a good feel about it. And then you had a community page, whether it's in the website or on Facebook somewhere, but you had some kind of a community page and you built that community and that audience. And then you upgraded the website into something amazing. Everybody would jump in and be like, this is amazing, right? That's how those kinds of things work. So this all said, if you ever need to talk to me, go to manananomas.com, book a call. Just book a call. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, Kurt Von Ahnen. I'm the only Kurt Von Ahnen on LinkedIn. So when you find me, you know you got me. Connect. We'll have a conversation. Run Through. I'm thrilled that you are coming to these calls and having comments and stuff. That's fantastic. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, comments, concerns. And with this, folks, I'm going to step out today. I've got a meeting in 10 minutes with another client. We're going to launch their website this week. This is a perfect example. Got a client end of last year, end of 2024. And she said, hey, we have a website. We looked at the website. It sucked. And then she said, I have a lot of friends in this industry. Here's some websites that I was going off of as a basis. And then I just simply said, hey, the good news is whatever we put out for you in your industry with your peers, it's going to kick ass because these websites suck. And yeah, it sounds judgmental, but it's like some industries just are still operating in like a 1996 blog world, right? And so we're able to modernize her presence. We're able to put up a new, but here's the kicker. She wasn't wheels turning, stuck in the mud. She has a lot of things going on this month. And I said, hey, I understand you have a lot of things going on this month. I understand you want to launch by the 24th of January. Let's do this. Let's get you one of these templated startup websites going. It'll look good. It'll work good. We'll put your content into the spaces. We'll add your images, your text, and we'll get you a minimal viable product up that's attractive, functional, and modern. And then we can make changes and update things and do things. And you know what she did? She did her homework. She sent the digital assets I needed. She sent the pictures. She sent a lot of the text that we needed to get started. And we had a couple of Zoom meetings just to be like, okay, you want this lead magnet? You want this event? Bam, bam. Okay, I'll build that for you. Send me the updated copy as soon as you have it. I'm going to build it with placeholder text right now. Okay. All of that's ready to go. That website's launching tomorrow. We're meeting in 10 minutes just to go over the different settings and whatnot. And then my company creates tutorials for the client. So if the client wants to manage the website on their own, they have the education and the learning to do that because we give them the tutorials, or we're a full service agency. If they have the budget, they can hire us and we'll make the changes and the updates and the content, all those things for them. But the thing is here, had a vision, taking the next steps, gaining momentum, and making it happen. So no matter what's coming at you today, no matter what your Twitter feed or X feed is throwing your way about inaugurations, pardons, senators, congressmen, the news, no matter what's coming at you today, remember your place in all of it and focus on what you need to do to execute to get to the next step for your family and your loved ones today. Today. No wheels stuck in the mud. All right. Traction. That's what we're looking for. Have a great day. Bye-bye.